Ladies and gentlemen, if you would have been following my Twitter on Gala Games, you'd have acquired a skin that normally costs $12 for $1.2. This is Classy Games. We're going to be going over the latest and greatest in Gala Games. There's pretty cool stuff coming out. So without further ado, like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, support the channel, and let's get into it. Now, here's the deal. The cheapest Gala skin in history was just released for a new batch. It was literally called, this skin's called Noxious. It was 4.885 silk. And if we look at my actual screen, I'll go ahead and refresh this as well. I bought this an hour ago for 4.8 silk, and this was actually on the Spider Tanks Discord. People were talking about this. If you go right now to the actual Spider Tanks Noxious skin and filter it by Gyri, you're going to see now it's 48. And, these are some unique opportunities that are given to people which are incredibly active, more so early adopter rewards than anything. A bunch of these actually ended up selling. And so these are some small opportunities you can get into while Gala's games are still in such an early state. I have noticed a very big shift in the sentiment in Gala Games' actual company ethics. They've been very consistent in what they've actually believed in. But I feel like the price structure in which Gala Games has been operating is changing 150%. In fact, if you have looked at the, pinned video on my channel, it's Gala Games Explosion is coming, blah, blah, blah. I actually talked about the fact that onboarding new users is very complicated, and the fact that, you've got to make it way cheaper. NFTs will be cheaper, right? You can see that right here. I talked about it with Bitbender. I said, hey, it's crazy how expensive these skins are. And what he essentially said was they understand that the markets were in a different place back in 2021. They're beginning to change that. And in fact, on Spider Tanks itself, you'll go ahead and see that a bunch of these Generation 2 tanks have recently come out, and these are significantly cheaper. For example, 117 silk might seem like a lot, but one silk right now is worth 30 cents. So it's actually significantly cheaper than people initially thought this collection was going to be. And that's kind of all the way around. Spider Tanks overall has become a much cheaper game to get into. And with their economy overhaul, people have been earning more silk than ever. By the way, if you're looking for a tip on Spider Tanks, I got some pretty nice alpha off of the Spider Tanks Discord. You can see Spider Emperor, one of the developers of Spider Tanks, first off saying that he has 36 unreleased props, which are going to be skins. He also has some really cool alpha right here, where he says we're almost about ready to start doing the final test for the newest build, including designated piloting and the mission system. It should be ready before May. Right now it's the 20th of April, and so that is very, very soon for the next Spider Tanks update. Now, the biggest update to ever hit Spider Tanks history is likely going to be designated piloting. If you have played Axie Infinity, you're going to know about Scholar accounts. Scholar accounts being accounts that you give access to so people can go ahead and play with your Axies. Now, something similar is going to be happening in Spider Tanks, where you're going to be able to choose who you actually want to go ahead and rent out your tank to, which I think is a really big deal, quite frankly, because of the fact that designated piloting essentially solidifies a much higher daily active user base. Now, every single tank in the Spider Tanks ecosystem is going to be looking for pilots. This is something that, if I myself, I'm likely going to be looking for pilots since I have a bunch of tanks. And that's a big reason why when you go to these atomic drop pods, they've gone to 134 silk for 3 of them versus the 15 silk that they were before. It's significantly more expensive because not only are people making way more silk per day, they're also going to be able to choose the pilots that they want to use, which in turn is going to pretty much significantly increase the amount of silk people are going to be earning. And this is kind of all the way around with Gala Games and is just a really big deal in terms of where we're coming in the earning components for Spider Tanks. Now, with this being said, I want to go ahead and show you this new map that just came out for Superior. I'm just going to let it play and see how it looks. Cheeky. Cheeky little map. I love how they do those releases. 16 seconds long with that little sound. That sound, I swear. It really gets you in there. And yeah, there you go. New Superior map is out. They did a little bit of stuff with Melee. I believe a slight nerf to Ronins if you own a Ronin on the Superior ecosystem. A bit of a buff to ranged carries for speedruns. So if you're using Murmur or Nomad on Superior, you're likely going to have an advantage for speed runs coming into this patch. So congratulations to people there. I personally own a Ronin, so I'll be taking the L for now, but I'm not always going to be taking the L. So don't get too comfortable. And so anyway, talking about this, we also hear Benefactor here, a very notable person on Gala Games, talking about the fact that he essentially isn't operating his business for people that want ROI. This is actually something really interesting because Web3 is filled with speculators. And when you have a bunch of speculators on there, it's like, well, if you don't really care about the Gala token, a bunch of people are going to get upset. And I feel like, here's a hot take here. You need to have a fine line balance. You need to understand NFTs are too expensive. People are buying these NFTs because of the fact that they're seeking some sort of return on investment. There's a good reason why CSGO skins are doing so well right now, and that's because of the fact that people are anticipating CS2 to spike up the prices for all of the skins, which so far it's doing, right? So far it's 100% doing. I think of that as the same thing on Gala Games and the NFTs in their store. You're buying them because you're an early adopter and you're hoping that these games take off so that your assets appreciate in value. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Just even if you're just a gamer that just every now and then speculates, which, by the way, I play CSGO for the game. I own hundreds of dollars worth of skins. Do I play the game solely to flip these? I guess there's a part of the game in that, but for the most part, I play it for the game. So you don't necessarily only have to be an investor to be a part of that, and especially knows you're buying into, running these servers and hopefully at some point getting your ROI. Now, here's the thing I think people are kind of missing with this message, and something I think Gala needs to be a little bit more, not that they're not transparent, but a little bit more blunt about. It's not about being blunt about, get out of here if you're an ROI boy, because there's always going to be ROI boys out there, and there's nothing wrong with ROI boys. The only thing with me is I think when you're giving your messaging, just tell people we're just focused on games. We're not focused on giving you your return on investment. If our game ends up taking off and you get your ROI, that's awesome. But it's not like CSGO is making updates only to pump the price of skins. Instead, CSGO is making updates because they just genuinely want to make a better game. And I think that same narrative needs to be spun into Gala Games. And I definitely think that a part of CSGO is really fun in the whole investing and opening skins and the Gamba stuff, and they make a ton of money off that, so there's nothing wrong with that, and that's just part of Web3. And, I'd love to see that clarification being made to make people just overall feel better about being in the Gala Games ecosystem. And so let me know your thoughts in regards to all this. If y'all want to support the channel, links.gala.com/classycrypto. It's the pinned comment below. It's in the description. If you buy anything on the Gala Games ecosystem, you might as well use this beautiful thing because I've got a very juicy watch to earn thing coming out, and we're going to be using affiliate profits for that. But until the next time, have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay classy, and that's all.